Delighted on this episode to be talking with writer, the visionary, I believe. Visionary, is that a good word? Uh,
Yeah.
behind SeerNova Comics, and that is Greg Moquin.
Yeah. Hey,
Greg,
what's
thank you
up?
for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Folks out there that want to check out comics can find projects like Ink and Mittens, Chronicles of Horror, and I know that there are also a few projects that are currently funding as well. So you have quite a range of creations here at Sierra Nova. Very curious about the origin story behind the publishing.
So 2014, I was bored one day. My co-founder says not to say this story this way, but I don't care. So I was bored one day and like
Hmm.
one night, and I was watching Everybody Loves Raymond, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna just start writing because I used to like writing a lot in middle school and high school. So then I started writing a story about a firefighter going into this like sketchy research lab because, and the firefighter's story came from my uncle was a firefighter. So I was like, oh, I'll just add him as a character, and then he's not even the main character. It was this other guy that I just made up, and he was like his
Hmm.
best friend. So then he went into this research lab, he dies, and then is reborn as a superhero. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm making a superhero comic. But when I was writing that, I just kept on writing. I didn't go to sleep really, and then I wrote like over 1,200 pages of like a story, and then I
Yeah.
broke that. I met Dylan, my co-founder, um, after a crazy story. I was looking for an artist, but I didn't know how to actually like ask what kind of artist because I didn't
Mm.
know. I'm dumb and I didn't use Google, so I just like made a Craigslist ad, and I was like, I need a graphic designer, and he's a graphic designer and a marketer. So he found my ad, and then like we clicked, and then we were talking for like a year, and then I moved to like Florida for a little while, hated that, came back, and then to upstate New York, and then we met, and then we made a business together, and he helps edit the comics. So he edited that whole giant story that I had, and then we like broke it into other series. So it went from that one big story to like multiple, and then the main story in that is now being like repurposed as a different solo series because like the Kickstarter we were doing in February for that, it was the third issue and it failed,
Hmm.
or it didn't fail, but we canceled it because like it wasn't doing something was wrong with it. So I asked around, and then some other creators were like, "Yeah, it's like all the stories like all over the place." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's kind of the purpose." uh, so now we're repackaging it as a different solo series called Fireproof. So it's still the same story, but the first two issues of the Seer Chronicles doesn't really happen for this. So the third issue is now going to be the first issue, and it's a different name, and it'll be like a different series going forward, but and more focus on the John Benson character and not all the other stuff that we were going to do with the Seer Chronicles. So yeah, that's how all that started. That 1,200 page story, and then yeah, so now I have like ink and mittens and scales, all that stuff.
Yeah. Now, has the writing process changed since you started the process? Since you started the journey, I should say.
Yeah, so like been doing it since 2014, but like we weren't a company until 2017 in August. So uh, every year we were like learning, and I was learning like how to be better as like a writer and all that. So and then uh, Dylan like edits the story, so he like it's like, well, why is this character there? He
Hmm.
mentions that like every time on our podcast, like why does this character have to be there? And then I used to just be like, because it's in the story. But like there's actually a reason behind like why a certain character has to be in a certain spot. So he's like, well, yeah, what is the reason? And I'm like, oh, just read the story. But yeah, I've improved since like the first story or whatever. Like Ink, the first Ink, actually, we just talked about this on our podcast that we just recorded. Um, the first ink, it's still in like storyboard format, like for it would be like for a film more than a comic. So
Hmm.
he didn't know that really, like, and I didn't really know that. So I gave that to the artist Adam. He drew everything that like I asked him to, and it was like it's pretty short of comic. It's like 9 pages, and then we went back, looked at the script, and he's like, all these words will not fit on these pages. So we then redid the story, broke it down more, and then we made like inner dialogue and stuff for Shane Murphy, the main character. So people like how that is, and I'm like, oh, I guess that was a happy accident that we like did that. So yeah,
Nice.
so yeah,
Cool.
we improve as we keep going. So
Yeah, yeah. Now you mentioned doing a Craigslist ad and kind of reaching out that way. How has it been since then, since the journey started, kind of getting to know people? Have there been supporters along the way that you would want to shout out, things like that, collaborations that have been really fruitful?
um, So I didn't know that there was that many indie creators until like we started like so when I met Dylan, then we like he first I told him about the whole story that was in my head for everything, that 1,200-page story. I'm like, I wrote this and then this is what it's about, without saying everything. And so there's still things he doesn't know, but like he knows a good chunk of it. And then I didn't know there were a lot of indie creators. So I'm like, oh, we're probably like just a few. And then there's so many of them. And then like you start going into Facebook groups and stuff, and I start finding people. And then Adam Fields was like one of the first artists that we like reached out to, and he does ink scales, and those are the two series that he'll be doing for us for hopefully forever. But yeah, so he's pretty awesome. And then we have a new artist that is like part of our team or whatever, Fish Lee, and he did art and lettering for Knightwatch. It's on Kickstarter right now, and
Mm-hmm.
he's really fast. He's the fastest like artist that I've seen, and he had COVID while he was working on Knightwatch last year, and I was like, "This is really fast." He's like, "Oh, I don't think I'm going fast." I was like, "You're giving me like so many pages." Like I've never seen this done before. Yeah, we've worked with a few artists since 2017, so some bad and mostly good, but
Yeah, yeah. I've had Fish on, and yeah, I love his style and uh, that ability to just generate material. That's
yeah,
win-win for everybody,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Now, you have these books, you have certain titles, genres, horror, superhero. Are there types of stories that you're drawn to publish?
Um, well, we have a superhero universe, so that's like kind of the main thing. It's really
Hmm.
funny because we haven't done like I haven't really written anything horror except for like the few stories in our anthology. But
Hmm.
I really, really like horror. And like Dylan's even mentioned that. He's like, you really like horror, you watch those movies all the time. You like haven't written one of those stories yet. I was like, yeah, I don't know. uh, but wow, this is like the first time I think I'm saying it. We're actually making a horror imprint. It's like this year, I think, or next year.
Well,
So there's two stories that are in the third and final issue of Chronicles of Horror 3, um, that I like all of the stories that are in it, but two of them I saw potential. I saw potential in other ones, but these two I was like, oh, I'm gonna reach out to these two guys, and then I'm like, do you want to be published by us? And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, yeah, I want to develop these two stories into like a series or like a short limited series or something. And they're like, oh, that'd be sick. And then like both of them were like super on board. So that's happening at some point. I don't have like a month or day or anything for that yet, but we really want to do that. We still have to come up with a name for the imprint and stuff, but yeah. And I even I wrote a serial killer like one shot, but like I'm still editing it, and it's really weird to write something like that when I have a cat comic.
Right,
So it's
right.
like it's like all for like kids and stuff. Well, it's for anybody, but like kids gravitate towards that. Like people come up to us at like cons, and I'm like, I have superheroes, cats in space, murder. So they're just like, oh, I don't know
Everything
which
you
one
need
to
right there.
pick.
Something for the entire family.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that range. I like when creators have range and it's not just, this one particular thing.
Yeah.
Are there cons that you frequent?
Uh, there's one around me that I like a lot, and it's the bigger of the ones that we've been to so far. Saratoga Comic Con in Saratoga
Hmm.
Springs. Um, that was our best con, I think, so far. I think, yeah, and it's the most people that we've like dealt with because we asked like the Sam dude that's like that runs it. We're like, how many people like come to the con normally? And then he's like, oh, it's like 2,000 something. I was like, oh, that's cool. And yeah, we got a lot of people too. We definitely made the table back like in the first day, like every single time we've gone to it. And we started going to cons last year, I think, or 2 years ago. We were going to do it in 2020, and then 2020 happened. So yeah,
Glad that the project has persisted. Glad that the storytelling continues.
yeah, yeah.
Tell us about the things that are on Kickstarter right now. I know there's Night Watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Knightwatch is a new vigilante series that we have. It's the character is Kenny Quinn, which is me if I was a vigilante, because my middle name is Kenny. Um, so it's based around me if I was an MMA fighter that turns into a vigilante. Um, he's on like a revenge path to like figure out who killed his best friend, and he thinks it's the Russian mafia, but it might be somebody else. So,
It's a
ooh,
mystery. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah. Anything that you'd like to say? You mentioned the horror imprint, but anything you'd like to say about the vision that you have moving forward? It sounds like the series that you have going, you'd like to keep those.
yeah. We have our whole superhero universe that's going to keep on going for a very long time. I hope. Um,
Hmm.
uh, we are like workshopping a bunch of different series all at once, so it's kind of like hard to like juggle all that. Like, there's a different company. They haven't really done much lately, but if they like kind of like were quiet for a while, and then they released a bunch of comics, and they kind of like went back into like they just like went back in the crowd, and like I haven't heard from them in a minute, but if I did that, I would have probably been better than where I am right now, because I'm like, oh, I'm releasing like all of these comics, and then now I have to like kind of catch up and be like, oh yeah, I'm doing scales, but I'm also doing ink, and then so it's just a lot to like juggle, but I like doing it at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, any tips, any tricks that you have for like balancing multiple storylines and universes like that?
I kind of have like a not a timeline, but like I have a like a Google Doc that kind of like this is or like a spreadsheet. I made a spreadsheet like a year ago or whatever. I'm like, this is like kind of the things in the um, kind of like the release schedule of them, and then I also have like this is kind of how it like flows because Mittens technically is in its own thing, like its own galaxy, but it's also part of our like universe for like superheroes. It's just like it's like those stories are happening like way before our stuff is happening in the superhero stuff. So uh, they'll all meet at some point. So I'm like Kevin Feige, but like it's a long term. Like this is not going to happen for a long time. And I have other things and other documents like, oh, this is going to be here, and yeah, there's so many other characters. There's a character on our banner um, for Comic Cons that we haven't even made the story yet, but I have a
Oh,
drawing.
wow.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, I want to do that one, but they're like, oh, who's that? I'm like, he doesn't even have a comic yet. Like he's just really cool design, so he's on there.
Well, I like that though. It's a teaser. It's like this
Yeah,
is coming,
yeah,
whatever this one happens to be. I like that. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think I have one more question to throw your way, and that is where people can go if they want to support the projects, if they want to see more, if they want to find out about you, anything social media, or website oriented that you'd like to share for us.
yeah. So our website, we have a brandy new website. Last year, Dylan made it. We had a website for a couple years before that. That was for other indie creators, like for us and them. And we it got like to be too much for me personally. So I like told him like to shut it down. um, and we're gonna redo it at some point. But that was SeerNovaComics.com. It's still SeerNovaComics.com, but it's a new SeerNovaComics.com. The old one was a platform for indie creators, and it was digital comics. Like you could read like hundreds of digital comics, kind of like Global Comics, but it was
Hmm.
before that. And then we just didn't have the reach or marketing capacity to like be like this is here. So we shut that down, and then like um, he rebuilt the website from scratch, and it's just so much better now, and it's just our stuff. So you could actually like buy comics on our web store and stuff. And then we're on all the social media like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Blue Sky, Twitter, even though I don't really go on there. Pinterest. I get notifications that I forgot that I have a Pinterest, but we don't do anything really on there. The Kickstarter you can find by like SeerNovaComics.com/Kickstarter, and that's a redirect, and it goes directly to Knightwatch. So yeah,